Folks, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician here, making a video for you out of Boise, Idaho. And what we're looking at is a GM 2.2 liter Ecotec engine, and I have been executing a timing and water pump job on it. And so I thought I'd take a moment here and just point out some tips and tricks for when you're taking this thing apart. First of all, in my next video that I post, which will show the installation of all the timing components and everything, I'll show you what TDC should look like on this vehicle. But real quick, there's some things I want to point out. First of all, if you've never done this job before, if you've never seen this engine before, the water pump is driven off of the timing chain. Okay, so the water pump, there is a special tool that you can buy so that if you just want to change the water pump, you can, and you can do it without causing any problems or losing timing or anything like that. But bottom line is this: there's really no point in just changing a water pump. If you're going to get in here, you might as well do it all, especially if it's never been serviced before. And on this vehicle, we come to find out that the timing had never been serviced before, and so we might as well just get it all done and go from there. So there's that. One of the things I'd like to point out, though, is while you are replacing the water pump, if you go to a Chilton's manual or the factory manual, one of the things it's going to tell you to do is remove the rear exhaust manifold. And that's because your thermostat is behind the engine, underneath the exhaust manifold, and you have a crossover pipe that runs from here all the way to the water pump right there, okay? And so you might get in there and look at that and go, holy smokes, I can't get that pipe out of there, which means I can't get the water pump out of there unless I remove the exhaust manifold. Well, that is not exactly true. So I'm not real big on taking shortcuts, but if they're practical and make sense and is not going to damage anything, then I think shortcuts are great. So what you can do is, I don't know if you can see underneath there. You see those two bolt holes down there? Okay, so those are two 10-millimeter bolts that you have. And so you're going to remove those 10-millimeter bolts. And then you're going to take a pry bar. And you're going to go right down in between the exhaust manifold right here. And you're going to twist. You're going to move that pipe so that it twists. And then what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to twist that pipe so that way you can actually jimmy it out of here and get it back in. It takes a little bit of wrestling to do, but it saves you having to remove an exhaust manifold and possibly having to worry about rusted bolts breaking or anything like that. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to show you. Another thing that I wanted to show you, again, is the factory manual may tell you that in order to replace the balance shaft gears for the intake and the exhaust, it may tell you, sorry about the camera there, it may tell you that you need to remove this bolt and remove the balance shaft completely. With it in the engine, with the engine in the vehicle, you will not be able to remove this balance shaft. So you might end up looking at it going, how in the heck am I supposed to do that? Well, GM did hook you up, okay? You notice these little holes right here, right? There's one there. And if you go here, there's one here, okay? So those are there so you can put a punch inside of there like this. I'll show you. Okay, those are there so you can take a punch and you stick your punch. You stick your punch in that hole and then just kind of move it down a little bit. And with the gear there, that will allow you to bite onto the gear. So that way the gear doesn't turn and you can just remove the gear. And so you don't have to remove the balance shaft out. So again, get a punch or something to stick in that hole and that will allow you to remove the balance shaft gears out. Now, the most important thing about these balance shaft gears is they are labeled and marked. So make sure you put the proper gear back in the proper place. This is going to be intake, and this is going to be the exhaust, okay? And so I'm going to show you that just real quick. Let's go over here. And here you go. So exhaust, you see it's labeled exhaust. I don't know if you can see that really. So exhaust and intake. Same here, intake and exhaust. So just make sure when you remove them that you lay them out and you don't mix them up, or you're going to be in trouble when you start this vehicle again. Another thing I want to show you is it doesn't matter who you buy from, whether you buy from Close or I don't know, Japanese domestic, whoever you get your timing kit from, these balance shaft gears have been upgraded. They are an aftermarket upgrade, and so you'll no longer have these crush washers and all that other stuff on there. So if you get this and you're looking at this going, why does that not look the same? That's because this has been upgraded. So don't worry about that either. Another thing I'd like to point out is when you're taking this job apart, you're going to have a plug. The plug is right here, okay? And if I show you from the top, you'll notice that this engine mount is absolutely in the way of getting that plug out, okay? And there is no way to completely get this engine mount out of the way. So what you need to do is you need to loosen it enough so that you can get in here. Now this plug is going to be a 10 millimeter hex head. So I'm going to show you that real quick. Okay, so that's what your 10 millimeter plug is going to look like. Now the reason for pulling this plug is so that you can remove and replace this timing guide rail, okay? The thing about it is GM did not make it possible to get to this plug with that engine mount in there without completely removing the engine. So 10 millimeter hex head. See, there you go. See, 10, okay? And if you noticed, I cut it. I had to cut this way down, and that's exactly what I did. And so by doing that, you will still have just enough meat on your tool to bite it and get in there and use the torque you need to remove it. But the only way you're going to get in there is by cutting a 10 millimeter Allen key down to pretty much nothing. Let me grab another Allen key so I can kind of show you how much you need to cut off. All right, let's compare these two. They came from the same set. Even though this Allen key is a little smaller, they still have pretty much the same length here. So you can see just how much I actually had to cut off of this Allen key so that I could get this removed so we could do the timing job. So if you run into that spot and you're like, how the heck do I get in there? Remember, go get you a 10 millimeter Allen key and just cut it off right there, and you should be good to go. So there's some tips and tricks on the GM Ecotec 2.2 liter engine. You know, this thing, what this engine is, it's actually a revived Saturn engine. I mean, they're good engines, but it's kind of ridiculous to have to work on them and all that other good stuff. So, on the next video, I'm going to show you how to install the timing and do all that, and then I'll also cover TDC, since I didn't post a video of the breakdown of this vehicle. Alrighty guys, well I hope this information helps you out. Remember, I'm always here to help. If you have questions, shoot them to me in the comments. Also, a faster way to get a hold of me is through my email, and that's highgrooveauto30@gmail.com. HIGHGROOVE30@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have concerning this type of job if you're trying to tackle it yourself, and walk you through procedures and all that other good stuff. So okay guys, well thanks for supporting me, thanks for watching my video. This is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, signing off.